So we want to say that Maurice Kamto is, first of all, I want to say at this moment he's politically dishonest. Using a people he doesn't care about to foster his political ambition is high rate of dishonesty. It's high rate of dishonesty. Kamto has statement that has been recorded in different categories. Like what? Talking about the Anglophones. See, like strategies and measures to be used in Cameroon at this moment is not even a strategy that will unify Cameroon.
What are you talking about?
So Kamto per se does not even have the strategy as a nation that has to pull. First and foremost, we want to. Mr. Eugene, don't stop interrupting me. I don't
know. No, Bertrand. You are not Yahoo. You cannot be saying lies here and I see
Bertrand, I'm coming to you.
I'm going, Mr. Mwambu. I will end this logically. I will
Bertrand,
so, Mr. Mwambu,
don't you think that? Don't you think? Yes, I'm coming back. I'm coming back to you. I'm coming back to you.
You are saying lies that should stop you.
I want to get something from him.
We are not on the playground.
Please. I'm coming back to you. Don't you think that? Don't you think that Professor Kamto may be that Messiah who is coming?
No. You don't stop him talking and you cut me to fool your program. It doesn't go that way.
Once you are lying,
we sit where it's not like we can't interject.
The moderator.
Mr. Moderator.
Respect the moderator.
Okay, please, can we be quiet? Okay, can we be quiet? Listen, can we be quiet? Please, listen. If I say you have the floor, continue talking.
When you are interrupted,
excuse me, please.
You cannot be talking.
Excuse me, when you stay quiet. Excuse me, when you stay quiet, you are instead. I say continue.
You stop him from talking.
I know what I'm saying. But they are controlling the mic.
You stop him from talking.
Pope Bertrand, don't you see that? Okay, with the ideology Professor Kamto is coming up with, he might be preaching something that we are not seeing now, but Cameroonians will only regret in future.
Never.
Okay, Mr. Kufo. I don't know the leftover words you have to blame your case, but I want to say that you have disclosed your party, you have disclosed yours. I'm still to disclose mine. What I'm saying, the ideology of the SDF and Professor Maurice Kamto, the MRC, are all the same things. Honestly, I don't trip for any party, but if I should trip for this two, then I'll be joining a film. I'm coming. If I should trip for any party, it should not be these two. Because I look at them like people with seizing every bit of opportunity they have to showcase, to exploit. My fellow panelists, which I respect very much, has made it on it. I said it defensively that Maurice Kamto care about Anglophones, and I just said that around a party. But if I believe in the Anglophone people's culture, in heritage, prestige, and preservation, Maurice Kamto only start talking about the Anglophone when he was released from the prison.
Lies. From 2012. We have it on our website.
Please, Mr. Cyril.
Please,
Mr. Cyril, you are
www.mrcparty.org. You see, you contradict your.
Mr. Cyril, let me finish.
Please, you have
that's my opinion. When was he? Was he a frontliner, or he was standing decrease outside as we have been treated all the time? What I'm saying is, I heard him. Is my opinion. The other ones are in the clouds. What he has been speaking since 1992. So I'm saying that these people, I don't see their vision. Honestly, because you can't imagine that Professor Maurice Kamto, I even have another analysis that I'm going to make. Mind it or not, politics is a game of interest. And I tell you that the CPDM has been having a romance game with the SDF for a very long time in politics.
Can you prove that?
Bertrand,
Mr. Moderator, you have already asked me about him being a prophet of peace and change in this country. Yes. I have said it yet no, and I'm forging to prove that no is no, and it may even turn to be a bigger no, because when I said the SDF, what the SDF denounced in 1992, that they don't want bloodshed, right? They stayed out. Professor Maurice Kamto staged a protest after his claimed victory,
Oh, he won.
Claim victory.
Please go on. We don't have time.
After his claim victory, people went on the street. They were arrested. He came out and said they would take the country in a very diplomatic way.
Yeah.
And the other diplomatic way in this country, in any other country, is through the ballot box.
Okay.
You understand? Protesting, just like my friend saying, it's a coup to every other nation. You understand?
No, that can be a coup.
No, I still have.
Yeah.
What I thought that the CPDM were planning is that we have moved with the SDF from 1992 to maybe 2005. Now from 2006 to make the country more democratic. Let us look for another partner to rub with. And they roll the ball. They roll the ball towards the MRC. And the MRC is not kicking the ball in the favor of the CPDM. So that is where the conflict is coming. But I think that Kamto again, after being in prison, which we know is a reformation center, he is coming back now to say, I am ready to kick the ball in the direction we want.
Are you saying that he has been reformed while in prison?
Yes.
It's a reformation center.
Let me come to Mr. Jomo Siri. This electoral hold-up has been now for some years. Any success?
Certainly not, and that is where we even get more crazy about it, because we start asking ourselves since 2012. We went in for the twin election in 2013 with hope that through the parliament way to make some small motion to push forward some public motions so that it could at least be passed to law, especially when it comes to the reform of the electoral code. But that was not obtained with our one parliamentarian, though it's minimum, but we have at least tested the National Assembly as a political party.
Yeah.
And so we told ourselves that, well, we cannot repeat that same mistake come 2020, especially that we have tested the bitter phase of the regime in 2018. But some allegation was made on the platform. If you permit, I'm just going to highlight. One of the panelists, by respect, I might not cite his name, did one of the gross mistakes to give a thwarted history of the Cameroon Renaissance movement. I would like to seize this opportunity to state the fact the way they are. The Cameroon Renaissance movement only was created in 2012. November 2012 to be more precise. And so when history is brought down to 2006, I start asking myself, but which party are we talking about? And for whether Kamto will be is prophesizing for Cameroon or not, it should be set and set clear. The ways of great men are never understood by the present generation. Nelson Mandela lived and died, and today he's being remembered for his 27-year struggle and plus. I remember when he went to, when he brought Fidel Castro. He went to the country of Fidel Castro, begged on him to come to South Africa, and he came. He was respecting Fidel Castro because Fidel Castro stood and trained their resistance movement by then. And I want to bring the same case to Bob Marley. Bob Marley is an artist that is respected by so many. And most people think that he is the one who created reggae. It's not true. He joined the movement along the way, but he had his focus. Kamto will be classified as some of these legends because he has joined the political arena in Cameroon, having worked with the system before, has gained experience, and he's doing it the way that people least expect it. And that is why even some bribe Anglophone who are still pretending to be bona fide Anglophones come on air, have the audacity to come on air and decry his movement.
Okay.
Kamto, I want to tell you, is 30 years experience working with the government. The wife has retired as
the
diplomat, a senior staff of the Ministry of External Relations. I want to tell you that is somebody that in terms of wealth have really is a fulfilled personality. When you look at the caliber of militant that we have in the Cameroon Renaissance movement, no, they are not street beggars. They are learned people versed with law. Okay. I don't want to say that the CRM is an elite party, but I want to seize this opportunity to say that you cannot see such a multitude. Our last two victory, and that is what I'm going to learn, is the case of Dr. Okala Ebude. That because of his political inclination to the Cameroon Renaissance movement has used from 2014 to 2020 to back the PhD, something that Dr. Busida always come here used only 2 years. But because of the political formation, he was withheld. Another case that got married was our spokesperson. I'm forgetting his name a bit. But the spokesperson to President Kamto of 2018 to the race finally got married after the divisional officer of Yaoundé 2 banned his marriage. Some claiming that it was to infringe on the public order. So I wanted to bring this case to say that even I talking today, my voice might not be heard because I'm echoing that of my champion.
No, your
but
voice is heard.
The intention truly, Mwambo, and you can read my mind, dear friend. I'm talking with you now with my mind. The intention is not to do any merrymaking. Hate me for the truth, but believe in the gospel, because truly it's what will save you.
We have just 30 seconds to conclude this, 30 seconds each to conclude this topic, so that we briefly go to the last topic. I want to come to you, Pope Bertrand. If you look at the Cameroon Renaissance movement and what they are doing now, then if you look at the XAF coming in, don't you think that the other parties who are just sitting quiet, they are doing more harm than good? Because they only hear them during elections, and after elections they go back to their lorries.
Well,
we are looking now at
all the parties have one gospel coming from different books of the Bible, different quotations. That is to say, we want to defeat the incumbent.
Yeah.
But now what happened is when it's time for election, they don't come together. Why? Because they fear and the greed they have for power.
Okay.
This one will say probably they'll come together, the terms and the conditions will begin that probably if RMC, Professor Maurice Kamto's party and the SDF, they are the most conspicuous parties. They want to take maybe the presidential post and the president of the National Assembly and Senate. Then the other party now becoming as governors. That is the greed. That is why some of the parties now directly go and line up behind the CPD and say, than for me to coalesce and become a governor in the next regime, it is better I align and I get something for me and my family. Because if you ask me, after the election, they say President Paul Biya have won the election. These same people who align behind him will sit in political debate and platform like this and criticize the same government. In essence, I want to say here that President Paul Biya is a black, he's a black cow with some
white spots,
very conspicuous white spots of that have painted a good image to this country. So in essence, to learn, Mr. Moderator, I will say here that if truly these political parties have the country at heart and not their bank accounts at heart, they need to coalesce. It's there and we are expecting it.
To conclude.
When you hear from a non-politician, it becomes clear that he's suffering from political indigestion, because come to believe that you start questioning yourself about the role of political parties in the country, especially those of the opposition. So you want to take us 3 decades back. No, multipartism came in Africa to catch up after the collapse of the American imperialism over Europe. And it was a new era where democracy was published. And in order to give life to democracy, they had to impose people to create different political parties so that the political landscape can be animated. And you cannot blame the Cameroon Renaissance movement today to fulfill that role. Because come to think that we were passive. We were not frontline attackers. We were not giving communique. How would the political landscape of our country look like? Knowing utterances that some state ministers are doing, like stopping the use of white weapons. I mean, up to market that people are using for farm in the northwest and the southwest. Those are utterances, and it needs to be coordinated. If the government in place cannot do that, at least political parties should be able to do that. And come to think that in a country where they have forced everybody to be silenced, where when you talk, they use a cane and whip you. If you are not a political party like the Cameroon Renaissance movement, you cannot have the courage to stand, to have a critical stand that can raise certain thoughts.
Okay. Mr. Mambo, there is my point of conclusion about it is, when I look at the CROM, I see a new group of hyenas who are gathering to feast. So what I am saying is, the Anglophones should not allow their plight to be used to cause them further destruction. We are at a period that our houses, we are in a mourning period. We are in period, we Anglophones, that we don't even have homes to live in. And one of the times that you can philosophize more or have a lot to think is when you are on the street, because you have to think much about how home used to be and how home can be made again. And this is not time we need to go into hasty conclusion by promises of people. I want to say this, I always like to quote this, that during the days of decolonization, the preaching in West, East, South Africa, or where let the white goes and we'll be able to govern ourselves. So we want to see, we have seen politicians who preach changes, but they have never given us the outline how this change will come to play. They only say, trust me, believe me, once I'm done with this, I'll bring the anticipated change. I want to say that Anglophone is our time for us to meditate, think, and pray that God should give us a guiding spirit to see how we push and guide our future. But I, as for one, as a young man, a young politician as well, there is never a time I will go behind Kamto, because I don't see Professor Maurice Kamto at the MROC having Anglophones in their heart. Everything they are doing is for their own political agenda. Today, the Anglophones have become one of his top agenda priority to say that if this is not done within the Anglophone region, this cannot be done. Anglophones are just being used here now like a bait, like what they want to use to catch a fish. And I want to say that we, the Anglophones, we will not permit ourselves to be used as a stepping stone.
Okay.
Not living that.
The Vice President, the Secretary General of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement is an Anglophone. The President of the Women Wing of the CRM is an Anglophone.
When they talk about party having dignity, there's one thing I want you to. There is no party that is short-sighted of dignity. So I want to say when SDF was at its formation ground, when the hyenas gather. Because when there is the ability and the fight to take powers, is because different hyenas want to take over the seat. One definition, it wants to say that the word liberation is just to bring in another oppressor. It's just a different timing of the oppressor.
Dear viewers, maybe we shall continue to be talking on that. At this time, we'll just talk briefly, maybe some 10 minutes, a bit more to that. We shall be talking of the chaos that is taking place in Mali, the coup against the government of Keita, Boubacar Keita. And this time we hear that the ECOWAS, the African Union, the Francophonie decided to sanction Mali for what they have done. But as it has happened, the president has been released with his government. They are free, but yet the military want to take over government for about 3 years. Okay, at this time, I want to begin with you.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Kufo. If you look at what is happening in Mali now, the president has been released. We'll just go straight to the point because we don't have time.
The first thing, Mr. Mambo, we want to see that in modern times like now, coup d'etat is one of the things we must not